having me here today. It's an honor and to be with Mayor Steve Hogan and Council, as well as Mayor Kathy Noon from the City of Centennial. Thank you for coming here as well. It's a challenging time for the country. There's no question about that, and but I believe we're going to get through it. Let me just say first, it is so exciting to the new congressional district because at its heart is Aurora. And that's where I grew up. That's where my family, the legacy is really from. My father, a Colorado native, with a kind of a military small business background, grew up in a farm just what is now southwest Denver. During the Depression, he left school at the 8th grade, sold newspapers in front of the Brown Palace Hotel. So whenever I walk by the Brown Palace Hotel, I think about him doing that. But he, in 1943, at age 15, he lied about his age and enlisted in the United States Navy, and was a torpedo bomber. Gunner in the back of a torpedo bomber in the Pacific for a year before my grandmother had second thoughts of what he was doing and turned him in for being underage. And they threw him out of the United States Navy, and he came back to Colorado. But this is not good for integrity purposes, but he lied about his age again. And within 90 days enlisted in the United States Army in 1944, and his first battle was the Battle of the Bulge at age 16. Wow. And served in the Korean War. And then came back home to Colorado for his last assignment at Fitzsimmons in the mid-1960s, when I was, 1964, when I was 9 years old. I'm older than most people in this room today. And so, I grew up in and around Fitzsimmons. First on the post itself, then in Hoffman Heights, and then in Chambers Heights, and I remember Colfax's Main Street, and going to the Fox Theater, for Saturday movie matinees and everything. And when I think about the challenges of, let me say, my current congressional district and how they're so vastly different in this new district, and in the current district, it goes 285 all the way up to Bailey in Park County, all the mountain areas of Jefferson County, Pike National Forest that goes into Douglas County, Jefferson County, southern suburbs of Jefferson County, and then a lot, all of Douglas County, all of Elbert County, all of eastern southern, and then eastern Arapahoe County, lots of agriculture, lots of water issues with Douglas County, then all of the fire danger issues with the mountains. And so it's a very complicated set of issues. I come in the new district. It's really metro suburban. It's Highlands Ranch, it's Littleton, it's Greenwood Village, it's Centennial, all of Aurora, and then comes around the airport in northern Adams County to include northern Thornton and Brighton and the unincorporated areas of there. But given where I grew up, where my heart is in terms of making a difference, it's working with the city of Aurora, it's working with our school district, it's turning around. I would say turning around. I'm very concerned about original Aurora. I'm very concerned about North Aurora. I'm very concerned about where I grew up. There has been, since the 1950s, 1970s, intergenerational poverty has grown there irrespective of the economy. And the perception is not good, and that perception impacts the rest of the town. And so we've got to change that perception. We've got to tell our story. And so I look forward to my part as a United States representative for Aurora, as well as these other communities. But the big two economic drivers in Aurora are the Air Force Base, Buckley Air Force Base, and Fitzsimmons, the medical campus that have a lot of federal nexus to both what I would call economic drivers. What I don't see, what concerns me, is within, particularly at Fitzsimmons, that surrounding community, that economic development hasn't really penetrated, and we've got to do that. And so that's just a key concern of mine. Some of it is not directly directly related to being a member of Congress, but as a leader in this community, behind the scenes, I really want to make a difference in the community that I grew up in making it a place that people want to move to, that people want to buy a home in. And I think that that will reflect well on the rest of this community. I know you all have a lot of issues that I think we're going to have. I'm optimistic about the lame duck session in having a and being able to hammer out a bipartisan agreement. Republicans have said they're not going to move. Until entitlement reform, that something is done on entitlement reform. 50% of all federal outlays right now are growing is entitlement spending. 38% is discretionary. About half of that's defense. In that part of the budget, and so, but I think that the fact is that the Bush tax cuts are expiring at the end of the year. Revenue is inherently on the table. Democrats say they won't move unless revenue's on the table. Well, it is. And so let's see if we can negotiate a bipartisan agreement together to maneuver our way, to navigate our way out of this debt crisis that we're facing right now. And I know that there's going to be a lot of discussion about tax policy. And I can say, having been I was in the property management business for 17 years in an Aurora-based company from about 1983 to about 2000. Was a senior shareholder in the company, and I know that when you have dramatic changes in tax policy, that there's unintended consequences. And I can remember in 1986 the change in tax law on passive losses that just pulled the rug out under my business model, where my focus was on the small investor group that bought an apartment building or bought a group of condominiums or houses, and we would manage those. And they left, and I had to redo my business model. And so I'm concerned about dramatic changes that have an adverse and unintended impact on the economy. The short sales, trying to, and certainly we love your input, what we can do to motivate short sales to move along faster, to get that inventory out and get it onto the market, I think is absolutely critical. For the life of me, I just don't. I know there's some impediments at the FHA level that we've got to look at, but for the life of me, it's to the benefit of the lender to mitigate their losses. It's to the benefit of the seller, and it's to the benefit of the buyer. Everybody wins if we can strike the right balance in moving short sales forward. Always concerned about credit issues. Worked with Congressman Perlmutter on some community banking issues to free up credit for small businesses. What happens in Washington sometimes is when there's a problem, there tends to be an overcorrection. And so I'm obviously concerned about mortgage lending in terms of being able to buy homes. Let me just, we've got extraordinary challenges as a country. I want to thank you for all you do in terms of your part in the economy of this community and this country, and also for you making a sacrifice to be here today, to be involved in the political process and not just gripe on the sidelines. And so I just want to thank you for that, and I look forward to your questions, and thanks so much.